Heartland fans, brace yourselves. Everything you thought you knew is shifting. After what felt like an eternity of silent sorrow and unanswered questions, the impossible has happened. Borden is home. Yes, the steady hand, the quiet strength. The fairy spirit of Heartland stands once again on the soil that raised him, surrounded by the faces that never forgot him, near the woman whose heart remained tethered to his across the void of years. But this return is no simple homecoming. It's a profound emotional upheaval. As re-enters the world he left behind, he finds it hauntingly familiar, yet starkly changed. Ghosts of memories linger in every corner of the ranch, yet so does the heavy imprint of time. Past Amy, caught in a whirlwind of shock, hope, residual grief, and unwavering love, grapples with his sudden reappearance. Their connection, a bond forged in fire, never truly severed. But can it withstand the fractures left by time? And Lindy Jack Lou, the whole Bartlett Fleming clan, must navigate a future suddenly rerouted by a past resurrected. Is this a second chance for to reclaim the life he was torn from? Or a stark reminder that some losses irrevocably alter the landscape? This is merely a return. It's the start of a new chapter, one promising both heartbreak and healing. In this unfolding story, we explore Ty's difficult re-entry, a journey marked by love, resilience, rediscovery, and the complexities of finding your place again. As the ranch buzzes with his presence, Ty confronts not just the specters of his absence, but the tangible reality of a life that didn't pause while he was gone. He observes Amy's life interwoven now, with friendships deepened in his stead, particularly with Caleb and Nathan. A flicker of something complex stirs within him, seeing them occupy spaces in her daily rhythm. It's not simple jealousy, but a deeper, unsettling awareness of the life lived without him. A reckoning with the impact his absence carved into the lives of those he cherished. With Caleb and Nathan having naturally stepped up, Ty finds himself navigating an intricate web of emotions. Hadn't foreseen this story traces Ty's quiet internal conflict, wrestling with feelings that challenge his very sense of self and belonging. Borden has always been defined by his steadfastness, his quiet resilience, his unwavering loyalty. But stepping back into the familiar cadence of Heartland senses an almost imperceptible shift in the atmosphere. Something feels altered, not necessarily wrong, just different, and at the heart of that difference lies Amy, or, more accurately, the ease with which Caleb and Nathan move within her orbit. Two men who became closer anchors in his absence. Ty tries to brush aside the feeling of fleeting observation, but the quiet unease persists, lodging itself deep within him. It isn't jealousy in its rawest form. It's something more nuanced, more aching. It's the stark, unavoidable truth that time waits for no one. Life at Heartland pressed on, and Amy, someone else, had to adapt, had to find sources of comfort, support, and normalcy. And in that process, bonds were forged. Bonds Ty wasn't there to witness or share. Watching Amy share an inside joke with Caleb, seeing her turn instinctively to Nathan for a quiet opinion, it sends tremors through Ty. Wasn't prepared for Caleb, has always been a fixture, a friend whose loyalty Ty never doubted. But the dynamic now seems subtly shaded. Caleb's natural rapport and long shared history with Amy make Ty acutely aware of the moments, the experiences, the quiet growth he missed. And then there's Nathan, dependable, a quiet source of support for Amy. Ty observes how naturally Nathan fits into the fabric of her days, almost seamlessly. As much as Ty wants to feel nothing but happiness for Amy's well-being, there's a pang he can't suppress. It's not just that others filled roles he once held. It's the realization that Amy needed them. That wasn't a betrayal, it was survival. And now Ty grapples with a question that feels foreign and painful. Where does he truly fit into this version of Amy's life? His return was envisioned as a healing balm, a joyous reunion, and for a brief time it felt like that. But the initial warmth is giving way to a more complicated truth, a reality where Ty isn't automatically the epicenter of Amy's universe anymore. He's no longer the sole keeper of her unspoken thoughts, the rhythm of her day, the quiet language of her expressions. Caleb and Nathan have learned pieces that language, not through competition, but through care and shared experience. And Ty, once so secure in his place beside her, now feels like an outsider peering into a life that continued to shape itself without him. This dawning sense of displacement begins to quietly erode Ty's composure. For so long, he held on to the belief that their love was immutable, strong enough to weather any storm, that if his heart beat for Amy, hers would remain unchanged, waiting. But now, moving through the familiar yet altered landscape of the ranch, watching Amy navigate her routines, a difficult question forms. Love, while essential, isn't the only thread holding a life together. What if shared existence, presence, daily rituals, quiet conversations under the stars, mundane chores, side-by-side laughter echoing through the barn? What if those are the true sinews of closeness? What if the relentless march of time shapes intimacy more profoundly than even the deepest love? It's a deeply unsettling thought, striking harder than he anticipated. The life he yearned for, the homecoming he pictured, has evolved. He sees it in Amy's movements, a strengthened independence, a quiet capability honed in his absence, adapted, grown, grounded herself in a rhythm that developed without him. No matter how fiercely his own heart aches for her, no matter his desperate desire to bridge the gap of lost years, Ty cannot rewind time. He cannot insert himself into the memories made while he was gone. And standing on the porch of the home they once dreamed of filling together, he finds himself wondering, can a man truly return to a life that learned to thrive without him? Or has the heart of Heartland subtly redefined its pulse in his absence? Every day surfaces small, unassuming moments that pierce his carefully constructed calm. Watching Amy and Caleb work with a challenging horse, their movements synchronized, their understanding unspoken, stirs something uneasy within him. Caleb's presence, always a constant, now feels different. It's ingrained, familiar, comforting to Amy. In a way Ty struggles to replicate. His return has magically reset their dynamic. The effortless teamwork, the shorthand communication, the shared laughter over past incidents. Ty wasn't there for these subtle markers of shared life chip away at his confidence. Caleb was present when Ty couldn't be, and now occupies a space built on shared experience. Even when Ty tries to rationalize it, he feels an unsettling awareness that Caleb understands the current nuances of Amy's world. In ways Ty is still learning, he sees it reflected in Amy's easy smile when she interacts with Caleb. Not romantic, but rooted in mutual reliance and history. And somehow that shared history feels like a barrier. Then there's Nathan, a quieter force, but equally significant. Ty observes Nathan's attentive listening when Amy shares her thoughts, his knack for offering quiet support without intrusion, his intuitive sense of when she needs space rather than words. Their connection isn't boisterous. It's subtle, grounded, built on a different kind of intimacy. Nathan doesn't attempt to fill Ty's shoes, but he's become a steady fixture, reliable, trusted, a calm presence amidst the daily demands of Amy's life. And that steadiness is what unsettles Ty the most. Ty starts to perceive layers of Amy's existence. He missed the milestones navigated without him, the private struggles she shouldered, the resilience she cultivated alongside others while mourning him. These are chapters of her story written while he was absent, pages now implicitly shared with Caleb and Nathan. With passing day, Ty feels increasingly like an observer in his own past life. He's surrounded by echoes of their shared history, but haunted by the new memories forged without him. The weight of his absence presses down, not just for the lost time, but for the spaces inevitably filled by others. once assumed were exclusively his, and as he tries to re-establish his footing, one question echoes relentlessly. Is love alone enough to mend the fractures time has wrought? It serves as a constant, stark reminder of the years he lost, leaving him feeling profoundly out of sync. These quiet introspections raise doubts in Ty's mind. Will he ever fully bridge the gap? Can he truly recapture the effortless closeness he once shared with Amy? The burden of this uncertainty casts a shadow over the initial joy of being home. It transcends simple jealousy. It's rooted in Ty's deepest fear, the of losing the profound, irreplaceable connection he has always cherished with Amy. As he continues to watch her interact with Caleb and Nathan, he begins to grasp the depth and necessity of these friendships in her life. Ty and Caleb's bond runs deeper than just ranch work. It's a brotherhood built over years of shared labor, hardship, and unspoken support. They faced challenges, side by side, weathered literal and figurative storms, and relied on each other during Heartland's toughest times. Caleb has always been someone Ty could depend on, hardworking, loyal, grounded in the same core values. But that familiar friendship feels subtly altered. Ty watches Caleb and Amy work together, their rhythm almost instinctual, two people who understand each other's cues without needing words. Where Ty once found comfort in Caleb's loyalty, he now senses something more complex: distance. Not a rift between him and Caleb, but a gap between himself and the life Amy built in his absence. It's evident in the way Caleb anticipates Amy's needs before she voices them, the way they complete each other's thoughts, reminisce about events Ty missed, and share silent glances, heavy with the weight of experiences part of Ty had clung to the hope that his return would erase the intervening years, that his love with Amy would remain untouched by time. But reality proves more complicated. Now he confronts the possibility that Caleb didn't just offer support during harrowing times. He became a pillar, perhaps even a safe harbor. And though Ty never doubts Amy's enduring love for him, the undeniable closeness she shares with Caleb underscores the voids left by his absence and how they were naturally filled. It's not betrayal, it's the consequence of time, the relentless way it moves forward. Even hearts feel frozen. Then there's Nathan. Unlike Caleb, Nathan doesn't have the long history with Amy, but their connection is no less significant. In some ways, the very newness of their bond unsettles Ty. Nathan introduces a different energy into Amy's world, a quiet, steady presence that doesn't compete with the past. He simply exists. He listens. He understands. He offers an emotional equilibrium that Ty, during his absence, couldn't provide. Ty sees how Nathan has carved out his own space, not just in Amy's daily routine, but in her sense of inner peace. The way she seems calmer around him, not due to shared history, but shared comfort, strikes a deeper chord than Ty anticipated. It forces him to question if the unique emotional intimacy he once shared with Amy has been subtly supplemented, or even inadvertently replaced by these newer connections. Not deliberately but gradually, moment by quiet moment, Ty feels increasingly like he's viewing Amy's life from behind glass, a spectator to a chapter he didn't write. Every shared joke between Amy and Caleb, every instance of quiet understanding between her and Nathan, serves as a reminder of what he lost. The major milestones, certainly, but poignantly, the small mundane moments, the ones that weave the fabric of trust, intimacy, and love. What hurts most isn't the thought that Amy moved on entirely. It's the fear that perhaps she had no choice, that she found necessary comfort and strength elsewhere when he wasn't there to provide it. Known for his quiet strength, finds himself feeling unexpectedly vulnerable, uncertain, shaken. The disquietude simmering in Ty's heart isn't explosive. It doesn't manifest as outward anger. It creeps in subtly, persistently disguising itself in withdrawn moments, hesitant glances, the internal tightening in his chest when he observes Amy sharing an easy laugh with Caleb, or engaged in a quiet, intense conversation with Nathan. It's not overt jealousy, it's a gnawing restraint. It's the bitter self-doubt whispered in the dead of night. Am I still essential to her? Because being her partner transcended love. It was about knowing her unspoken needs, reading her silence, being her instinctive refuge. And now Ty is no longer certain he occupies that space. The thought is deeply unsettling, unbearable. He's never had to question it before. Now for the first time, Ty must confront a truth he's subconsciously avoided. What if Amy's love for him remained constant, but life itself demanded she move forward? Time didn't halt, and into the vacuum his absence created, Caleb and Nathan stepped, not as replacements, but as support systems, helping Amy navigate her grief, helping her rebuild, and gradually they became integral parts of her world, her rhythm. That realization haunts Ty, relentlessly following him through the familiar barns, across the fields, into every corner of the ranch that once felt unequivocally like home. It blurs the past and present, making him question not just his place beside Amy, entire identity within the family, the ranch, even himself. The qualities that once defined him, unwavering loyalty, deep love, grounded presence, now feel precarious. He tries to tell himself Caleb and Nathan were temporary supports, placeholders filling a void, but the ease of Amy's interactions with them, a visible comfort. The trust it sows doubt, not in her love but in the resilience of the bridge that connected them. Has it frayed? Has it weakened? And slowly that doubt morphs into something heavier. He finds himself replaying memories like worn, fragile recordings. Amy's laughter, their shared rides, promises made under starlit skies. He clings to these moments, fearing they might be all that remains. And each instance of Amy sharing connection with someone else chips away at that fragile hope. What if those memories aren't strong enough to carry them forward? The internal weight begins to affect his interactions. He becomes irritable, withdrawn, snapping over minor issues, retreating into brooding silence. He attributes it to fatigue, stress. But the truth is deeper. It's fear, regret, the dawning realization that rebuilding what was lost requires more than just showing up. It demands confronting changes within himself and within their relationship. And in that fear, something vital starts to fray his sense of self. He barely recognizes this version of himself. This man plagued by insecurity, watching from the periphery as others offer comfort to the woman he loves. This man who fears that, despite surviving unimaginable trials, he might have returned to a life that no longer has the same shape for him. Worst of all, Ty begins to fear that his silence, his attempt to bear this internal burden alone, might create irreparable fractures. Not only with Amy but with Caleb and Nathan too. Despite his efforts to conceal it, tension simmers, unspoken feelings charge the air between them. Every interaction feels subtly strained. Caleb's friendliness starts to feel tinged with pity. Nathan's quiet composure, a stark reminder of Ty's lost time. In the quiet hours when the ranch settles, Linda sleeps soundly, and Amy sits nearby, yet somehow distant. Ty's mind circles the painful what-ifs. What if he'd never been taken? What if he'd been there to share her burdens? What if he's simply too late? These thoughts are crushing, stripping away the resilience he painstakingly rebuilt, leaving him exposed, vulnerable, uncertain of his own identity. And that is the most terrifying prospect. He's not just afraid of losing Amy, he's afraid of losing himself. And as this internal storm intensifies, Ty realizes he cannot contain it much longer. The carefully constructed facade is cracking. The weight is becoming unbearable. If he doesn't confront these feelings, if he doesn't find the courage to voice his fears, the relationships he treasures most,
might slip away because sometimes the most devastating battles are the silent wars waged within the heart. He feels adrift, misunderstood, unable to shake perception that his anchor point in Amy's life isn't as firmly set as it once was. That simmering tension finally surfaces, not in a direct confrontation but during a tense moment. Working cattle tie, his timing off, his focus blurred, struggles with a task Caleb now handles with practiced ease, offers a suggestion kindly meant. But Ty snaps back, his frustration misdirected. His words are sharper than intended. Healed by weeks of unspoken insecurity, Caleb, taken aback, withdraws, hurt by the unexpected harshness and confused about its source. He simply states he was trying to help, leaving strained silence hanging between them. The incident doesn't go unnoticed. The tension ripples outward, affecting the ranch's usual rhythm. Sensing the unease, Amy later finds Ty alone, his posture radiating weariness. She doesn't push but gently asks what's wrong, creating a space for him to finally speak. She reminds him that Caleb's support was invaluable during the hardest times, emphasizing that trust and understanding are vital now more than ever. As Amy explains how both Caleb and Nathan helped her and Lindy endure, Ty feels a fresh wave of conflict. It wasn't their fault, others stepped in to fill the void his absence created. His unease also subtly impacts his interactions with Nathan. Though Nathan has been nothing but respect, Ty feels intimidated by the quiet, unspoken bond Nathan shares with Amy. This leads to an awkward, restrained conversation where Ty's insecurity is palpable though not explicitly accusatory. Nathan, sensing the undercurrent, tries to reassure Ty, emphasizing the platonic nature of his friendship with Amy. But Ty's internal struggle makes it hard for him to fully accept this. For Ty, the issue isn't truly Nathan himself. It's the role Nathan represents, the steady presence Ty wishes he could have been. This internal conflict leaves Ty feeling lost, adrift, questioning his own value. He begins to recognize that his own insecurities are pushing people away, potentially even Amy. The strained moments with Caleb and Nathan act as a painful mirror, forcing Ty to acknowledge his internal turmoil is damaging the very connections he wants to rebuild. Following these difficult interactions, Ty starts to truly process the impact of his reactions. The complex emotions that clouded his perspective begin to clear, revealing that his feelings stem from his own deep-seated fear and the trauma of his absence rather than any fault of Caleb or Nathan's. Ty finally confronts the truth he's been avoiding. His absence created not just a physical space, but an emotional chasm in Amy's life. Though no one sought to replace him, others stepped up out of necessity. The loyalty and love Amy, Caleb and Nathan weren't usurpers. They were support pillars. And that realization washes over Ty with a quiet, profound humility. For weeks he'd been adrift in his own insecurities, questioning his place, wondering if there was still room for him in the life he'd been stolen from. But now, reflect on the emotional distance he allowed to grow, he understands something crucial. This turmoil was never fundamentally about Caleb or Nathan. It was about his own fear, his guilt, his desperate need to feel essential again. In a moment of hard-won clarity, Ty realizes that rebuilding his connection with requires confronting the difficult truths within himself. He must abandon the quiet resentment and embrace vulnerability. The longer he internalizes these feelings, the wider the gap becomes between him and those he loves. And he cannot bear to lose any more time with his heart heavy, but resolute. Takes a choice requiring immense courage. He chooses honesty, the raw, difficult kind that leaves one exposed. As if sensing the shift, he finds Amy later in the quiet sanctuary of the barn, a place imbued with their shared history, their laughter, tears, and whispered promises. The late afternoon light streams through the barn doors, illuminating the familiar space. Ty approaches her quietly, When he asks if they can truly talk, his voice is soft but carries the weight of unspoken burdens. This time there will be no hiding, no pretense. They sit together on a hay bale, the air thick with emotion, looking not quite at her yet. Ty begins, his voice steady, but layered with vulnerability. He speaks of the ache of returning to a world irrevocably changed, the feeling of being a stranger in his own home. He admits, his voice low, thick with emotion, that he's been wrestling with shadows, jealousy, of anger, but of a quiet gnawing doubt that surfaced whenever he saw Amy share effortless camaraderie with Caleb or quiet understanding with Nathan. He confesses this not because he doubts her love, but because he doubts himself. The man who returned fearing the void left by his absence is too vast. Bridge. Amy listens, absorbing his words with her whole heart, her gaze unwavering. She doesn't interrupt, doesn't defend, simply allows him to lay bare his vulnerabilities, his fears, his wounds. When he falls silent, she reaches for his hand, her grip firm, grounding him. And what she says next dismantles fears he carried alone. She acknowledges that yes, Caleb and Nathan were crucial pillars of support. They helped her stand when she thought she'd fall. They cared, but they were never him. There's a part of her heart, she explains, a core of her being, that belongs only to Ty. It was never about who, the silence. It was about who she was perpetually waiting for. And that was always him. To Amy, his return isn't just a reunion. It's the relighting of a sacred flame. His presence anchors her. His love, steady, fierce, patient, is irreplaceable. Caleb and Nathan offered friendship and support, but he is other half, the love that persisted, even through the separation, in the quiet barn, surrounded by echoes of their past and the warm light of the present. Something within Ty breaks open, paving the way for healing. That the first time since returning, he doesn't feel like an echo of his former self, feels seen, understood, cherished, not for the memories, but for the man he is now and the man he is striving to become. With a lighter heart, Ty knows his next step. He seeks out Caleb and Nathan individually, meeting them with quiet sincerity. He apologizes not for his feelings, but for letting his internal struggle create distance. He speaks openly of the fears that warped his perspective, the insecurities that arose from his trauma. Caleb, ever the steadfast friend, responds with a reassuring clap on the shoulder. "You're back, that's what matters, Nathan." Tam, and perceptive, nods with quiet understanding. "You were never replaced, Ty. We just kept things going until you found your way home." In their acceptance, Ty finds peace, not just forgiveness, but a renewed sense of brotherhood, built on shared affection for Amy, not rivalry. And in that moment, Ty finally grasps that reclaiming his place isn't about erasing the past, you're forcing things back. It's about moving forward together, allowing love to evolve, stretch, deepen in unexpected ways. The immense weight he carried begins to lift, replaced by clarity, gratitude, and a renewed sense of purpose. As Ty embraces this new chapter, he does so with heart, freed from corrosive doubt. He no longer fears being displaced. Instead, he honors Amy's resilience and the integrity of the men who supported her. His journey, once shadowed by insecurity, has transformed into a testament to growth, healing, and emotional courage. In learning to voice his truth, doesn't just find his way back to Amy, he finds his way back to himself. This chapter allows Ty to shed the heaviest burdens, emerging with a deeper understanding of himself and the community that sustained Amy. He moves forward more grateful than ever for the friendships Caleb and Nathan offered, not just to Amy, but now reaffirmed with him. He understands. He's a family defined by mutual support through all of life's trials. The feelings he once labeled jealousy have transmuted into respect and appreciation for the roles Caleb and Nathan played. Rather than threat, Ty now sees them as integral parts of the family fabric. To help hold things together, his journey is a poignant reminder that relationships shift and deepen, and the strongest connections can withstand immense challenges. To see and Amy look toward their future, they do so with a renewed commitment. Surrounded in hard-won honesty and trust, Ty is no longer haunted by the moments missed, to the bonds formed in his absence. Instead, he stands taller, anchored by the enduring love that surrounds him at Heartland. The pain, the doubt, the internal conflict have given way to healing, forgiveness, and a profound understanding of what it means to truly come home. Ty's journey is complete, not just as Amy's partner, but as a man who faced his deepest fears and emerged stronger through hardship and growth. He learned that family isn't about perfect circumstances, it's about the courage to show up authentically, vulnerably, and lovingly. Standing beside Amy, just finally aligned, Ty isn't just reclaiming his place, he's rediscovering his own soul. This isn't just a return, it's a rebirth, to profound healing, to love story rewritten with stronger roots. And in their quiet connection beneath the Heartland sky, we are reminded that true